fourth Espada in Aizen's army of Arrancar, and along with Grimjow, is considered one of Ichigo's main Arrancar rivals. Yukiora is a very cold, callous, and dispassionate figure and is rather aloof, brooding, and indifferent, willing to harm both his comrades and enemies should they get in his way. He refers to anyone he does not find interesting as trash and treats them as expendable. Despite this, like most of the other top Espada, he's not particularly violent and will only fight when provoked or ordered to by Aizen. However, unlike Aizen, he actually manages to kill Ichigo not once, but twice. At one point, he even threatened Orihime to force food down her throat or strap her down to a table and feed her uh, feed her to it. Yukiora is just amazing. He always looks so annoyed and he acts like it. But in the end, we knew he was more than just that. I really liked how he developed with Orihime in his protection. It changed him. Unlike most Arrancar, he accepted death, while most others died cursing their enemies or showing fear of death. His fight against Ichigo is among my top anime fights in all time, really. And I probably prefer it over the Aizen versus Ichigo fight if I'm being honest with you. Also, his transformations were awesome, and not to mention the fact that little by little, as I mentioned before, his interactions with Orihime did change him a bit, slowly but surely, whether he meant to or not. Yukiora did start to embrace his a little bit of humanity and what it mean, And his last question was, you know, what's a heart, The most powerful offspring of the Chimera Ant Queen. He was known as the king of the Chimera Ants. What I really love about this character was how it paralleled to Gon's character arc in the Chimera Ant arc. From his first appearance, he basically start off as another one-dimensional villain that killing and eating a child doesn't mean a damn thing to him. But after multiple interactions with a human girl named Komogi, eventually even growing to care for her deeply, Meruem started to question the differences between ants and mankind, and battled with his own identity as half human, half insect, questioning the nature of violence and strength as true power. After his interactions with Komogi and his fight with Netero, Meruem began to see humans as incredible beings with immense potential through their tenacity in breaking their own limits. He showed great respect and complete admiration for Netero, viewing his abilities and fighting style as truly magnificent, and constantly praised him throughout their battle, referring him as a rare example of a human who transcended his limitations and the very pinnacle of human capabilities. Because of his change in perspective, Meruem no longer considered farming humans for food and instead suggested the coexistence of humans and ants, with humans being selected and controlled for quality. Then you got Gon, who has always been a good kid, loyal, and an all-around trustworthy comrade. However, the story, the author did leave us breadcrumbs to Gon's madness. It isn't until this arc where it's become apparent, and only after rewatching previous arcs that you start to understand that it was always there. In this arc, Gon becomes so consumed with rage over Kite's death, he pushes Killua away, his best friend, and sacrifices his potential to exact his revenge. In the process, he nearly loses his life. Basically, by the end of this arc, you got the main antagonist slowly embracing his humanity, while the main protagonist is slowly descending away from it. Gotta love the irony. In my personal opinion, this is the best villainous group in all of anime. That's right, I said it. Better than the Espada, better than the Band of Seven, better than Baroque Works, Phantom Troop, or even the Ginyu Force. Yeah, I said it. Big whoop, whoop, womp womp womp. Want to fight about it? But seriously, so it was pretty much a no-brainer to include them on this list. However, the real question was which one. So much like with the Phantom Troop, I chose to include all of them, including Father, the original homunculus. Though not necessarily my favorite one, I did find him a to be a complex character and to have a very interesting backstory. I like all the homunculi. If I had to pick a least favorite, it'd be Sloth from Brotherhood. I say this version of Sloth because he didn't really do much in the series. The female Sloth from the first series was definitely a far more intelligent and interesting version than her male counterpart was. Plus, her presence had a far more personal connection to the Elric brothers due to her appearance and origin. As for my favorite one, it would probably be between Greed and Envy. I loved how charismatic Greed was, and also the fact that he was pretty much the rebel among Father's children. In Brotherhood, Greed received much more development. His companionship with Ling Yao, his small rivalry with Raph, and the moment where he regained his memory and his sacrifice were just priceless. The first anime just didn't give him enough respect as opposed to the second. There, he was very underdeveloped. He barely even appeared for like 3 episodes. Envy was definitely the most sadistic one. He had awesome powers, and his death is very dramatic, and I love that. For me, it was the saddest death among the homunculi, even though he did shoot a kid in the face and murdered May Hughes, who was one of my favorite characters in the series. I was still saddened by his death for some reason. Well, I guess not really. I mainly pitied him, I guess. But he died pretty much the same way. He died envying the humans. He envied them. He was jealous of them, of their ability to express more feelings other than just anger and vengeance. That they were able to show compassion, to have the strength to be able to, have the moral strength to look past their anger and cooperate and team up together. And in the end, that's what it led to them defeating him. He died, envious of that. Very true to his character and true to his nature in a way. But as for Lust, I preferred the original FMA version of her because she had a much bigger role and development in the story. As for the Brotherhood version, she was just evil and seductive. However, I do believe her death scene was arguably the most epic and brutal scene in the series. Though I still enjoyed the characters, I also enjoyed how each of the homunculus' deaths were ironic to their sins. Like I said before, ironic to their sins. Lust was killed by a womanizer. Gluttony was eaten. Sloth died fighting, and Envy committed suicide out of jealousy, like I said before. And as for Raph, he died in peace. Pride was shamed, and Greed died with content, content, figuring out what he really wanted. Introducing the one true villain of the anime series, Taro. Taro is sadistic, arrogant, conscious, deprived, ruthless, ambitious, traitorous, and power hungry. He's completely dishonorable and finds it amusing to repeatedly cheat and betray during confrontations or ambush and assault people who have done nothing to him. He's not being used to being helped and generally gives disdainful insults as thanks for offered aid. He even poses a much bigger threat to Moose or Ryoga. There's a guy who for years who has done awesome character profiles for the Ramaverse, and Pantyhose Taro being one of them. In fact, Taro's was the very first one I watched from his channel. He's known as DJ Clive, and I highly recommend checking out the video as well as his other videos if you're a big Ranma 1/2 fan like me. I'll leave a link to the video in the description below.